Welcome to Tom's True Crime. Today we take you to Birmingham, Alabama. A young man's life was brutally cut short in a crime that left the community in shock. This is the story of Lucas Carterstein, an 18-year-old whose life was tragically ended by a twisted affair that spiraled out of control. Lucas was full of dreams and hope for the future, a senior in high school brimming with potential. He stood out among his peers not only for his academic excellence, but also for his remarkable ability to balance his passions with his responsibilities. Growing up in Birmingham, Alabama, a city steeped in history yet bustling with modern life, Lucas dreamed of breaking away, of achieving something bigger than himself. He carried a quiet optimism in his eyes, always looking ahead, always seeing opportunity where others might see obstacles. Whether he was sitting at his desk late into the night, books sprawl around him, or out on the field practicing his favorite sport, he was always working toward that elusive dream. At Birmingham High, Lucas wasn't just a star student, he was a leader. His teachers admired his intellectual curiosity, and his classmates respected his ability to bring energy and focus to every project. Whether it was calculus, English literature, or history, Lucas aced every subject, but his true passion lay in engineering. From a young age, he had been captivated by the way things worked, always tinkering with gadgets and dreaming of one day building something that could change the world. The thought of designing sustainable, cutting-edge technology to improve lives was what kept him up at night, drafting blueprints in his notebook and researching the latest innovations online. In his quieter moments, Lucas would often find himself gazing out over the city, thinking about the future. He dreamed of one day attending a prestigious university, perhaps MIT or Stanford, where he could immerse himself in the world of innovation and technology. He envisioned a life where he could contribute to the world in a meaningful way, using his skills and knowledge to tackle global challenges like climate change and resource depletion. These lofty goals weren't just idle daydreams. They were a roadmap he was determined to follow. Every success, every failure, was a stepping stone toward achieving that vision. At home, Lucas lived with his mother, Ava, a hardworking single parent who had sacrificed so much for his education and future. She worked long hours as a nurse, providing for him and giving him the support he needed to excel. Their modest apartment, though small, was filled with love and encouragement. Lucas understood the sacrifices his mother made, and it fueled his determination to succeed. The pressure to make her proud, to repay her for everything she had done, was always present in the back of his mind. Yet, instead of feeling weighed down by it, he channeled that pressure into motivation, constantly striving to be the best version of himself. In addition to schoolwork, Lucas held a part-time job at a local coffee shop, a place where he had developed friendships and learned the value of hard work and customer service. His boss often praised his punctuality and dedication, and the regulars came to appreciate his calm demeanor and friendly nature. It wasn't easy balancing school, work, and a social life, but Lucas had managed to find harmony. He believed that every experience, no matter how small, contributed to his growth. And so he kept pushing forward, knowing that each moment brought him closer to turning his dreams into reality. Lucas had been dating Olivia Moorwick for 2 years. Bella, also 18, was a smart, driven young woman who shared his dreams of a bright future. They talked about getting married after graduation and starting a family. Lucas often saved his money to take Bella out to nice places for dinner, where they would dream about their future. The couple was inseparable, and everyone expected them to have a long, happy life together. But beneath the surface, there was a dark secret. Lucas was having an affair with Bella's mother, Olivia Moorwick, a 43-year-old woman who ran an investment fund. Olivia was attractive and successful, but she had a complicated relationship with her daughter, often competing with her for the attention of men. Lucas's affair with Olivia was a secret that weighed heavily on him, that complicated his life in ways he hadn't anticipated. Despite his dreams and plans, Lucas's life took a tragic turn. His secret affair would soon lead to a shocking and violent end, leaving the community of Birmingham stunned and his loved ones devastated by the loss of a young man who had so much potential. On the morning of August 12, 2021, Birmingham, Alabama, was already feeling the summer heat. Around 8 a.m., Lucas Carterstein's mother comes home after a night shift at the hospital. She had called out to him, but there was no answer. She walked to Lucas's bedroom. As she pushed the door open, the sight before her was unimaginable. Lucas's lifeless body lay sprawled on the floor in a pool of blood. He had been brutally stabbed multiple times, the knife sticking out of his heart. Ava froze in shock, her hand trembling as she dialed 911. Her voice, usually calm and reassuring, was shaky as she reported the scene to the emergency dispatcher. "There's blood everywhere," she stammered. Within minutes, police and paramedics arrived at the home. The flashing lights and the crowd of neighbors who gathered outside added to the surreal atmosphere. As the first responders entered the apartment, they were met with a gruesome scene that would haunt them for years. Ava was visibly shaken, unable to comprehend the horror of what has happened. The once quiet neighborhood was now the epicenter of a brutal crime, one that would leave everyone reeling. Detectives arrived at Lucas Carterstein's home within minutes of Ava Carterstein's 911 call on the morning of August 12, 2021. Leading the investigation was Detective Michael Smith, a seasoned investigator with over 20 years on the force. Known for his no-nonsense approach and dedication, Smith was a respected figure in the department. He was joined by Detective Jenna Thomas, a younger, sharp-minded officer with a keen eye for detail. As they entered the apartment, the crime scene was immediately overwhelming. The once cozy bedroom was now a gruesome sight. Blood spattered the walls and floor, creating a chaotic pattern that told an extreme story of violence and desperation. The smell of iron hung thick in the air, mixing with the heat of the August morning. Lucas's body lay crumpled on the floor, the brutality of the attack evident from the multiple stab wounds. The kitchen knife used in the attack was sticking out of his chest. Detective Smith, despite his years of experience, couldn't help but feel a knot in his stomach as he surveyed the scene. He knew immediately that this wasn't a random act of violence. The ferocity of the attack suggested something deeply personal. This wasn't just a murder, Smith believed. This was a crime of passion. Thomas began photographing the scene, carefully documenting every detail. They collected evidence meticulously, ensuring nothing was overlooked. The knife, the blood patterns, and any fingerprints were all carefully recorded. Forensics would later analyze these to determine the sequence of events. As they worked, the detectives also noted the state of the rest of the house. The living room remained untouched, a stark contrast to the horror in the bedroom. This indicated that the attack was swift, catching Lucas off guard. Outside, the neighbors had gathered, murmuring among themselves, trying to make sense of the tragedy that had struck their quiet community. Detective Smith knew the importance of acting quickly. He assigned officers to canvass the neighborhood, hoping someone might have seen or heard something unusual. In a close-knit place like Birmingham, where everyone knew each other, there was always the chance that someone had noticed something that could break the case wide open. Detectives start with those closest to the victim. Did his girlfriend, Bella Moorwick, have an argument with Lucas? Bella Moorwick, the 18-year-old daughter of Olivia and the girlfriend of the victim, was a bright, ambitious young woman who had just graduated high school in June of 2021. She was looking forward to starting college in the fall. Friends and family described Bella as kind-hearted but sometimes overshadowed by her mother's dominant personality. Bella and Lucas had been dating for 2 years, and by all accounts, they were deeply in love. They had even talked about getting married after Bella finished high school, a plan that had excited both of their families. However, the revelation of her mother's affair with Lucas had shattered Bella's world. The discovery of the betrayal left her heartbroken and furious, but she claimed that she was innocent of any involvement in Lucas's death. When detectives brought Bella in for questioning, she appeared emotionally drained, dressed in jeans and a t-shirt from her high school senior class. She seemed much younger than her age, almost childlike in her grief. Detective Smith and Detective Thomas began the interrogation gently, asking her to recount her relationship with Lucas and how she found out about the affair. Bella's voice trembled as she spoke, her eyes filled with tears. She described how she had accidentally stumbled upon sexually explicit texts between her mother and Lucas a few days before his death. The discovery had led to a heated argument between her and Olivia, but Bella claimed she had tried to move past it. "I loved Lucas, and I didn't want to lose him," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. However, when asked about her whereabouts on the night of the murder, Bella's story became less clear. She insisted that she had been at a sleepover at her friend Jordan's house, just a few blocks away from Lucas's house, but she struggled to provide details about the evening. Jordan, when questioned separately, confirmed that Bella had been there, but mentioned that Bella had left around midnight, a few hours before the estimated time of the murder. As the detectives pressed Bella further, her demeanor shifted from sadness to defensiveness. She denied any involvement in Lucas's death, but the anger in her voice was evident. "I would never hurt him," she repeated, breaking down, sobbing uncontrollably. Her grief was raw, but it also raised questions. Was she crying out of loss, or was there something more she was hiding? Despite her emotional state, Bella maintained her innocence throughout the interrogation. She admitted to feeling betrayed and angry, but insisted she wasn't capable of murder. However, her unclear alibi and the intensity of her emotions left Detective Smith with lingering doubts. Detective Smith then thought about Olivia Moorwick, the mother of Lucas's girlfriend, Bella. Olivia was 43 years old and had always been the center of attention in Birmingham's social circles. She was known for her striking looks and her successful investment company, which managed a number of funds. Some locals whispered that it's a Ponzi scheme, but Olivia dismissed the criticism, enjoying the financial rewards in the spotlight. Olivia had a complicated relationship with her daughter, Bella. While they appeared close, friends noticed an underlying tension between them, often stemming from Olivia's jealousy of Bella's youth and beauty. Olivia had a habit of competing with her daughter for attention, especially from men. This rivalry took a dark turn when Olivia began an affair with Lucas Carterstein, her daughter's boyfriend. The affair was a closely guarded secret, known only to the two, as it was the kind of secret that could destroy lives. Olivia justified the relationship as a way to reclaim her lost youth, but it was clear that she was becoming dangerously obsessed with Lucas. When Detective Smith and Detective Thomas brought Olivia in for questioning, she was visibly shaken but tried to maintain her composure. She dressed impeccably in a figure-hugging dress, her makeup flawless, but there was a nervousness in her eyes that didn't go unnoticed. The detectives started with routine questions, asking about her relationship with Lucas and her whereabouts on the night of the murder. Olivia claimed that she had been home alone, working late into the night on her business. Her voice was steady, but there was an edge to her tone when asked about Lucas. She described him as a beautiful boy, but downplayed their relationship, referring to him as just her daughter's boyfriend. However, as the questioning continued, her mask began to slip. When Smith pressed her about the affair, Olivia's demeanor changed. She became defensive, her answers short and vague. She denied the affair at first, but when presented with evidence of the affair, she broke down. Tears streamed down her face as she confessed to the affair, but she vehemently denied having anything to do with Lucas's murder. "He was my angel boy," she cried. "As Lord is my witness, I would never hurt him." Despite her emotional outburst, Detective Smith wasn't convinced. Her obsession with Lucas and the intense jealousy she harbored toward her daughter made her a prime suspect. Detectives wondered if Olivia's husband had found out about her affair with his wife. Jack Moorwick, the 47-year-old father of Bella Moorwick and husband of Olivia Moorwick. Jack was a successful lawyer and well-known in Birmingham, Alabama, for his sharp legal mind and his ability to win cases, but also for his tendency to be absent from home due to his demanding work schedule. Jack was a man who valued appearances. He took pride in maintaining a picture-perfect family image, even if it meant turning a blind eye to the troubles brewing under his own roof. While Jack was often away at the office or in court, he wasn't entirely oblivious to the tension and the game of sexual jealousy between Olivia and Bella. He had his suspicions about Olivia's behavior, particularly her inappropriate sexual interest in other men, but he chose to ignore it, hoping it would resolve itself. When the police called Jack in for questioning, he appeared composed, as if preparing for a day in court. Detective Smith and Detective Thomas started the interrogation by asking Jack about his relationship with his wife and daughter. Jack described his marriage to Olivia as complicated, but insisted that they had a strong bond and had sex regularly. He claimed that his relationship with Bella was also on good terms, though he admitted that they weren't as close as he would have liked, partly due to his long work hours. The detectives then shifted the focus to Lucas Carterstein. Jack admitted that he liked Lucas and thought he was a good match for Bella. However, when confronted with the affair between Lucas and Olivia, Jack's demeanor changed. He clenched his jaw and avoided eye contact, clearly uncomfortable with the topic. He claimed that he was unaware of the affair until after Lucas's death, stating, "If I had known, I would have put a stop to it immediately." The detectives pressed Jack on his whereabouts on the night of the murder. He stated that he had been working late at his office, reviewing a case file for an upcoming trial. He provided the names of colleagues who could vouch for his alibi, but his tone was defensive. Jack's response to the interrogation was calm but distant, giving the impression that he was holding back. As the questioning continued, Jack maintained his innocence, insisting that he had nothing to do with Lucas's death. However, his reluctance to discuss the affair and his apparent detachment from the situation left the detectives uneasy. Was Jack truly ignorant of his wife's actions, Or was he hiding something to protect his family's reputation? Despite his calm exterior, Jack's evasiveness during the interrogation raised suspicions. The detectives couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to his story than he was letting on. On the afternoon of August 12, 2021, the police received a tip that would change the course of the investigation. It was around 3 p.m. when Detective Smith's phone rang. The caller, who wished to remain anonymous, claimed to have critical information about Olivia Moorwick, one of the key suspects in Lucas Carterstein's murder. The tipster hinted at something more sinister than just an affair, a secret that Olivia had been hiding for years. The detectives wasted no time. They drove straight to Olivia's office, located in downtown Birmingham. The office looked impressive, but the detectives soon realized it is a shared office space. Alarm bells started ringing for detectives. As they dig deeper, they discovered that Olivia was the kind of woman who commanded attention as soon as she entered the room. With striking features, sharp cheekbones, perfectly styled hair, and a smile that could melt even the coldest of hearts, she had an air of success that few could ignore. She dressed in expensive tailored suits that spoke of high-end taste, accessorizing with subtle but expensive jewelry that added just the right amount of sparkle. Her confidence radiated from her as she moved through her social circles, leaving a trail of admirers and business partners in her wake. To anyone on the outside, Olivia was a woman who had it all: business acumen, charm, and the kind of life most could only dream of. But behind the polished facade, something much darker was at play. What no one knew was that Olivia's success wasn't the result of legitimate business ventures, but rather a carefully orchestrated Ponzi scheme. She had spent years weaving an elaborate web of lies, convincing investors that she was managing their money in lucrative, high-return opportunities. To keep the illusion intact, she used new investments to pay out the returns she promised to earlier ones, all the while living lavishly on the proceeds. Her charm and charisma made her an expert at gaining trust. People loved her, believed in her, and handed over their savings, hoping for the kind of financial freedom she seemed to guarantee. Olivia's confidence never wavered, even when the mounting pressure of maintaining the facade started to build. But as with all schemes built on lies, cracks began to appear. One of her investors, a man named Marcus, started asking questions. He had been promised substantial returns on his investments, but when he tried to withdraw a portion of his money, he found excuses and delays. Olivia's smooth words couldn't mask the growing sense of unease within him. He began to investigate, consulting with others in the business world, and soon he discovered that there were no high-yield investments at all, just a network of people who had been duped, their money funneled into Olivia's pockets. The web was starting to unravel. Word spread like wildfire, and soon others who had been part of Olivia's scheme began to compare notes. A handful of disgruntled investors, realizing they were part of something much darker, went to the authorities. Detectives Smith and Thomas discovered a case has been opened to investigate the possible Ponzi scheme. A forensic accountant was brought in to examine her financial records, and the truth came crashing down. The trail of fraudulent transactions was undeniable, and Olivia's luxurious lifestyle was laid bare as the result of stolen money. Olivia's world, once filled with smooth-talking charm and the adoration of everyone around her, is about to collapse. Next, the detectives search her house. What the detectives find in her walk-in closet was both disturbing and revealing. She had a box containing photographs of Lucas, many of them sexually explicit and inappropriate. It was clear that Olivia would not have taken Lucas wanting to break up well. Olivia's world was beginning to crumble. Losing the money, possibly going to jail for fraud, and losing Lucas would have been a blow to her ego. May have driven her to kill. With this new evidence, the police had a clearer picture of Olivia Moorwick, a woman who would do anything to protect her secrets, even if it meant committing murder. The detectives knew they were closing in, but they also realized that uncovering the full extent of Olivia's crimes would be no easy task. On August 21, 2021, the police in Birmingham, Alabama were finally ready to make their move. After piecing together the evidence, they had no doubt about who was responsible for Lucas Carterstein's brutal murder. Olivia, 43, was a woman on the edge and not someone who takes rejection well. When Lucas tried to end the affair to focus on his relationship with Olivia's daughter, Bella, Olivia's jealousy turned deadly. On the night of the murder, Olivia confronted Lucas in the kitchen of his mother's house, a place Lucas had taken Olivia to have sex many times. Fueled by jealousy, Olivia grabbed the kitchen knife and stabbed Lucas multiple times. The attack was vicious. The arrest took place in the early morning hours of August 21st. The police arrived at Olivia's mansion in an upscale neighborhood just as the sun was rising. They knocked on the door, and Olivia answered, dressed in lingerie. The detectives calmly informed her that she was under arrest for the murder of Lucas Carterstein. Olivia's reaction was a mixture of shock and defiance. She tried to maintain her composure, but the police could see the panic in her eyes. The arrest was public, the media frenzy unforgiving. As she was led away in handcuffs, her confident smile was gone, replaced by a look of cold realization. Her neighbors watched in disbelief. Many of them had admired Olivia for her business success, not knowing the truth behind her glamorous facade. The news of her arrest spread quickly through the community, and by the time the police car pulled away, the streets were buzzing with gossip. She had convinced so many that she was a businesswoman of great success, but in the end, it was her own arrogance and belief in her ability to keep the lie alive that had exposed her for what she truly was. Back at the station, Olivia was booked and placed in a holding cell. The detectives interviewed her, but she denied everything, insisting that she was innocent. However, the evidence against her was overwhelming, and the police were confident they had the right person. The arrest brought a sense of relief to Lucas's family, who had been living in fear and uncertainty since his death. The case was far from over, but with Olivia Moorwick in custody, the police were one step closer to achieving justice for Lucas Carterstein. The trial of Olivia Moorwick for the murder of Lucas Carterstein began on November 8, 2021. The case had drawn significant media attention, with local news outlets covering every detail. The courtroom was packed with spectators, eager to see how the case would unfold. The prosecutor, David Wilson, painted a damning picture of Olivia as a woman driven by jealousy and obsession. He argued that Olivia had brutally murdered Lucas in a fit of rage after he tried to end their affair, using the physical evidence and testimony from investigators to support his case. David also exposed Olivia's fraudulent investment scheme that preyed on vulnerable people, including retirees, close family, and friends, adding to the portrait of her as a manipulative and dangerous individual. On the defense side was attorney Ben Taylor, a sharp and experienced lawyer with a history of defending high-profile clients. Taylor, 48, was known for his calm demeanor and ability to create doubt in the minds of jurors. He argued that the evidence against Olivia was circumstantial and suggested that someone else, possibly Bella Moorwick, could have committed the crime. Taylor also tried to humanize Olivia, portraying her as a loving mother and successful businesswoman who had been unfairly targeted by the media and the prosecution. As the trial progressed, the emotional toll on Lucas's family was evident. They attended every session. His girlfriend, Bella Moorwick, sat with her father, both of them visibly shaken by the proceedings. The tension in the courtroom was intense, especially during the testimony of the lead detective, who detailed the gruesome nature of Lucas's injuries and the evidence linking Olivia to the crime. On November 22, 2021, after 2 weeks of testimony and just 4 hours of deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict. Olivia Moorwick was found guilty of first-degree murder. The verdict was met with tears of relief from Lucas's family, while Olivia remained stoic, though the color drained from her face as the words, "guilty," echoed through the courtroom. The punishment was handed down on December 1, 2021. Olivia was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The sentence was a harsh but fitting end to a case that had shocked the community. For Lucas's family, the verdict brought a sense of justice, but the pain of losing him would never fully heal. The trial had also exposed the dark side of Olivia's Ponzi scheme, leading to further investigations into it. The sentencing marked the end of one chapter, but left many in the community reflecting on the tragedy and its lasting impact. After the trial, life in Birmingham, Alabama, slowly returned to normal, but the shock of Lucas Carterstein's murder lingered in the community. The close-knit neighborhood was forever changed. The once bustling Moorwick household became quiet. Olivia Moorwick's life sentence left a void in the family that was hard to fill. Her husband, Jack Moorwick, a successful lawyer, tried to maintain a sense of normalcy, but the scandal and loss weighed heavily on him. He continued his work but withdrew from social circles, avoiding the stares and whispered conversations that followed him everywhere he went. Bella Moorwick, Olivia's daughter, struggled to move forward. The revelation of her mother's affair with Lucas and the brutal murder had shattered her world. She left Birmingham shortly after the trial, enrolling in a college out of state to escape the painful memories. Though she tried to focus on her studies, the trauma was never far from her mind. Friends said she became more reserved, no longer the bright and ambitious girl she once was. The aftermath of the trial also had a significant impact on the broader community. Investigations revealed the extent of the financial and emotional damage caused by her Ponzi scheme. Local news outlets continued to cover the fallout, and the scandal became a cautionary tale about the dangers of investment scams. In the end, the trial and its aftermath left a lasting mark on everyone involved. It was a tragic reminder of how quickly lives can be torn apart and how the consequences of one person's actions can ripple through an entire community. Thank you for being with me on this episode of Tom's True Crime. If you are interested in more in-depth investigations into the most perplexing crimes, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. What are your thoughts about this case? Please share them with us in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe.